Reflections from Torch Trust, focusing on Christian faith and sight loss.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Reflections, the show from Torch Trust that focuses on faith and disability. I'm your host, Marilyn Baker. Well, as you may know, I'm a real music lover, and today's show takes a look at making music. Now, we're going to go over to our producer, Grace, who recently spoke to Balaji Srivastav, creator and leader of the Inner Vision Orchestra, an international group made up of musicians with visual impairments.
Can you tell us, first of all, how did the Inner Vision Orchestra come about?
The Inner Vision Orchestra is of all visually impaired people, especially blind people, and that idea came to me when I was performing in orchestra in blind school when I was 6-7 years old. And I thought, all blind people are way performing, that's wonderful. And when I came to this country, I heard music, all kinds of music, and I thought, why shouldn't I create an orchestra which is not only for blind people but also international? So because London being a cosmopolitan city, and we can get all kinds of people here. And luckily, when we were going to the meetings of RNIB or meetings of the different exhibitions, we were meeting some blind people. And I asked them if they want to join my orchestra, and they were very happy to do it. So in 2008, we decided to start this orchestra.
Brilliant. And is there anything that has to work a bit differently due to the orchestra being made up of people with sight loss? Is there anything you have to organise differently? I guess reading music probably works a bit differently.
Well, basically, to me, it's same as I organized orchestra and work with orchestra with anybody else, because for me, as being an Indian musician, improvisation based, for me, just I give them something to listen, and then they have to work out according to whatever their ability, and then we can, when we rehearse, we can sort it out. So yes, that's how we work out. And also, because we are from different languages, we have got musicians from Iran, Lebanon, England, of course, Wales, and also from India, that's me, and Japan, Nigeria. So we learn from each other languages. And that's how we work together.
Brilliant. And can you tell me about the community workshops that you run, please?
The community workshops is by the visually impaired people, the musicians, and we give different kind of workshops, like sometimes we do the Indian workshops, sometimes we do the Lebanese workshops, the Egyptian workshop.
If people wanted to come to a community workshop, how can they find out more about that?
Well, first of all, when we do a workshop, we do advertise on our website, which is www.balujimusicfoundation.org. And also we have got email, so they can send email and we can send email to them. The email is baluji@baluji.com.
I know music can be very transformative. Can you tell us about the impact that it's had on you and that the orchestra has had on other people?
Of course, when we perform, the whole audience loves music. They just like our music, and actually, when I've played concerts, people have come and they met together, and they also got some marriages took place after our concert.
Oh wow.
So we are lovers, communicators. Yeah, spread love all over the world.
That's fantastic. That's really important, I think.
It is very important. In lockdown, we did have some difficulties. And I would say that I am in a very privileged position because I've got lovely wife to take care of me.
Mm.
But there are blind people who are living alone, and they have difficulties. I'm sure they have difficulties because if I was alone, I would have much difficulty. So I can imagine how difficult it could be for them. But also, luckily, we have found this software called Gemulus,
Mm.
and we use the Gemulus software every fortnights, Mondays. We get together, we rehearse for our concerts.
That's brilliant. I wanted to ask how you manage rehearsing together when you are so international. So that's really interesting. Do you have room in the orchestra if other musicians are interested? Is there space for other people to join?
Definitely in the workshops or in generally, if they are interested, they should get in touch with us. And as long as they are visually impaired musicians or non-musician, I don't mind even non-musicians, but actually sometimes I prefer non-musician more than the musicians.
Oh,
Because
that's
musicians
interesting.
have got they've got okay, I know this much and I can do this and non-musicians can we can teach them more music. For example, we had one,
Mm.
she was a 90 years old lady, something like that,
Oh.
and she came and she said, oh no, I can't play anything, and I gave her some cymbals, and then after that we couldn't take the cymbals off her.
Oh,
She was playing in the taxis everywhere.
that's so lovely to think. People think they couldn't possibly play an instrument, but actually you can if you're open to giving it a try. Why not?
Well, you see, as an improviser, I would think that music is not only just knowing the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, or the classical music or non-classical music. Anybody can play music.
Mm.
Clapping is music. If the birds can sing, so can I.
That's so encouraging because I think a lot of people don't believe that they could, but actually there's no reason not to.
Exactly. I mean, I really feel pleasure to teach children as well. There were some children from a blind society for
Mm.
blind children. The children came just for experiment at how blind children can learn, and I taught them, and I
Mm.
really enjoyed teaching them. When I
Mm.
was in Mexico, I taught a blind girl. She wanted to see what instrument I was playing, and I showed her a few instruments. And then she played the dilruba, which is another bow instrument, like it's like Indian violin upside
Mm.
down.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a bow instrument, and she played that. And also, I had a water pot because
Mm.
I think that music can come from anything and everything.
Mm.
Bottles and water pot and cymbals.
I think that's fantastic because it doesn't have to be expensive because some instruments can be really expensive, can't they? But you don't have to have any of that. You can make music anywhere.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I think that's so good for children to get into music at an early age as well.
Yeah, also, that reminds me that when I give workshops, I don't like this attitude that children are told to shut up all the time.
Mm.
Because when I play, children do react. They laugh, they make some kind of wow kind of noise, and
Mm.
they shouldn't stop by teachers. Oh, no, 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 you should shut up, you should this and that. It's nothing like that.
Mm. No, that discourages them, doesn't it? If they think
Discouraging.
it's
Even I didn't like when I was in India, my teacher said, you shouldn't make noises like that, and you are a wild man.
oh,
And no, children should not be prevented because we are children for a short while, and after that, we'll become the same adults like everybody else. And
yeah.
also, we can experiment with our voice, and because when I was taught in India, I was told that there is no better music than our music.
Mm.
And so this kind of attitude, when it's developed,
Mm.
then because when I came to Europe, I didn't really understand about the free jazz and modern classical. I really didn't understand, was
Mm.
that a music? I used to think it's just rubbish. But then slowly, when I met Linda, in Paris in '82. Then she sang and I played sitar, and I said to Linda that this is not music. But she said, yeah, but you played what I sang. And I said, yeah, I can play, but doesn't mean that I can play any noise. So that's not music, that's noise for me. But then I have understood that any noise can be turned into music, because any noise has got some kind of notes. And if there are some notes or some tunes, that can be music. That is music. And we can hear the nightingale singing, and all these birds are singing, and so why can't we consider our noises as music? So that opened my mind,
Yeah, that's a
wide mind,
beautiful way to think of it.
and now I don't mind which music I listen.
If you'd like to find out more about the Inner Vision Orchestra, or perhaps attend one of their concerts, here is our producer Grace Dawson to tell us a little more about this.
Thanks, Marilyn. Yes, if you'd like to learn any more about Inner Vision or any of Baluji's music, then just head over to balujimusicfoundation.org. That's BALUJI musicfoundation.org. And this year, the Baluji Music Foundation is celebrating its 15th anniversary, and they're going on a special tour around the UK in honour of this. Each event will feature different performers, including Baluji Srivastav and the Inner Vision Orchestra of professional blind musicians. The tour has already begun, but there are plenty more dates coming up throughout August, September and October. So remember, that's balujimusicfoundation.org. Back to you, Marilyn.
Now, if you have sight loss, you might like to know about Torch's fellowship groups. These groups meet regularly around the UK and provide Christian fun, fellowship and support. Grace spoke to Carol Noakes to find out more about them and how to get involved.
Carol, for anyone listening who isn't aware of Torch Fellowship groups, could you explain, what are they?
Yeah, Torch Fellowship groups, they're groups for friendship and support and for sharing God's love. And they're open to all, blind people, partially sighted people and fully sighted people. And we're there to share together. Many of you know that being blind or partially sighted can be quite a lonely and isolated existence at times, and our fellowship groups have been great in providing that support that's so necessary for us all.
Brilliant. And can you tell me a few of the sorts of things that groups might get up to?
I can. In fact, each one, I would say, was different from the other, because each group reflects the leadership of that group. And some people, they like to have a book from Torch, and so they each read the book during the month and then come together and share the book and have fellowship over that book, having a purpose for their gathering together. But then after that comes the Christian fellowship that just flows naturally in chat and support. Other groups, they have speakers who come and talk on particular topics. Groups have music. They have times of sharing where people are free to share good things that have happened in their lives and difficult things. And as a group, they can support, love and pray for each other. And of course, there's always the obligatory tea and sandwiches and cakes. And people think, well, it's just the tea. But actually, that's a time where people can chat one-to-one. And they're great places of encouragement and friendship and support.
That's wonderful. And can you tell me, how did Torch Fellowship groups originally come to be? How did it all happen?
Well, in the early days of Torch, we were very busy sending library books and Christian magazines to so many people throughout the UK. And it soon became apparent that while these resources were being really appreciated, the cry from people's heart was for fellowship, Christian fellowship and friendship. And we realised that just as a headquarters, we couldn't be the ones that would supply that need. And so it was Peter Jackson, actually, who really had the vision. He was a blind man. He really had the vision for Torch Fellowship groups, where people in different towns and cities could themselves reach out to blind and partially sighted people in the community. And that's how our Torch Fellowship groups began. We did a lot of travelling around to inspire people, to envision people, and people caught hold of that vision and so wanted to include blind people and partially sighted people. So that's how the groups begun, and that was in the 1970s. Our groups were never a replacement for church. They were supposed to be informal gatherings of Christian fellowship where we could be a bridge to introducing blind and partially sighted people to our churches.
Oh, that's a really useful progression and connection there. That's brilliant. And they've been going strong ever since. So it's fantastic.
They have.
And so just final question, how can people find out more, whether they want to join a group or maybe get involved as a volunteer for a group?
Well, I would say the best way is for someone to phone up the client services at Torch House, who have all the relevant information at hand to be able to share with you where your nearest fellowship group is and the contact person for you to chat to, whether you want to go and be part of the group as a blind or partially sighted person, or whether you feel that you want to go and help and support the group and get alongside people and enjoy the Christian fellowship group.
Brilliant. I suppose if someone wanted to, if they felt called to start a group, is that something that can happen?
It certainly is. And again, get in touch with Torch House through client services, who will be delighted to steer you and help you in starting a Torch fellowship group, because so many of us are lonely and isolated, aren't we? And we need help in coming together to enjoy Christian fellowship. And that's a lot of practical help in getting us to venues and places as well. So transport is always provided along with a Torch fellowship group.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Well, we're just about out of time, but if you'd like to learn more about Torch fellowship groups, just visit torchtrust.org. For any other questions about Torch's services or the show itself, you can call us on 01 858 438 260. That's 01 858 438 260, or you can email info@torchtrust.org. Till next week, from me, Marilyn, and everyone on the Reflections team, goodbye and God bless.
You've been listening to Reflections from Torch Trust.